All right, we're going to get started. So, Innovate Live Thursdays. This is great. I want to run by some content that kind of shoots off in a direction that, if you watched the interview that we did with Dawn Myers last Saturday, uh, we talked a little bit about this, hit on this. She uh, took the information from our course, from our incubator, and then evolved it into what we've been teaching as traction products. So this is really interesting, and this is in Red Blue Collective Innovate, the course that is live right now. The doors will close for that for in 2 weeks. If you have any questions about it, DM me. It is an extraordinarily inexpensive way to get one-on-one time, to get access to all of our content and get our coaching. But I'm trying to take the information that we've built, the experience that we've built, and get it out there to as many people as possible, kind of on a mission to crush all of these other accelerator and incubators that are out there that charge $1,500, $2,500 and get limited results. We've had disproportionate results with coaching and with the incubator programs by cutting out the nonsense and having actionable information that's based on experience working with hundreds of entrepreneurs and seeing what works, what doesn't work, what's too fancy, what's not fancy enough, what tech is out there, what tech is worth the time, energy, effort to putting putting it in for development or kicking that can down the road and focusing on revenue right now. Um, I, to a certain degree, I can't read minds, but I I've sat with investors. I've talked with people that run some very large accelerator programs. I understand what they're looking for, what the judges of these innovation programs are looking for, what the judges and organizers of pitch contests are looking for, what makes a winning pitch, and how you get the information that goes into that winning pitch, or what we call killer pitch, right? Because it has the intent to win. Kill, 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 win, uh, because you have to be pumped. You have to be ready to dominate that presentation and to win. So we say killer pitch, right? So that's a little bit about Innovate. This is a little piece that we are now making a segment. It's making a module in the core coaching on traction products. So we're going to talk a little bit about why I came up with this idea, why it works, what the hell it is, and I'd love to get questions from people. I'm already getting great feedback, positive and negative. I'm getting pushback. I'm getting people that are interested in taking up on this methodology. So that being said, let's get into it. So traction products, here's the hook, guys. I don't know if you're from the startup world or if you're from the entrepreneur world. Startup world's kind of its own little bubble, its own little ecosystem, crazy kids. But they say MVPs, minimal viable products. We're saying MVPs are dead. That's it. So here's a little history, right? The traditional corporate approach to product development involves building highly detailed requirements, transforming those requirements into specifications, developing a series of prototypes, rigorous testing, developing complex production on a managed timeline. They have all the resources and the manpower, and they have their own little systems, and they put those all in place. Sometimes that process is very engineering driven. Sometimes it's very marketing or management driven. It depends on the corporate culture, but in either situation, that process, it seems fairly linear, right? The project follows a waterfall. So like one process delivers to another process. I don't know how big my screen is, like this, like a waterfall, right? Waterfall timeline. Any changes, anything that you do other than follow that project plan is considered waste, considered wasteful rework, right? So corporate development largely creates out of touch products in our modern fluid business environment. Now I can build really big things, and I think that corporate style innovation works fantastically if you're trying to build something like that Boeing plane that I posted earlier today, because it's safe. It builds safe things, but it also builds things that are based on decade-old technology, right? Years and years old technology. If it's new technology, it's because that industry moves very slowly and their new technology has gone through a long life cycle of testing and approval and incremental improvements, right? Kaizen, little Kaizen improvements. So that's great. But big corporations spend huge amount of money creating those products. And a lot of times they create products that people don't want, right? And then entrepreneurs try to apply that same methodology and they lack the funds, so they hit the chasm right away. But similar to large corporations, if they do have the money, they build something that, again, nobody wants, right? And that's like the main real problem that we try to solve in Innovate or with any of my coaching engagements, is make sure that you build something that people want, like really want. We say make something worth sharing. So not make something that's worth maybe buying or maybe gifting, but make something that people are like, I need to buy one for me. I need to buy one for my mom. I need to buy one, make something that's worth talking about. They really, really want. So in the startup world, there's the lean startup methodology. It borrows a philosophy from lean manufacturing, that of like of iterative improvement, right? And agile development. So like getting requirements, kind of doing things a little bit more on the fly. And it presents this new approach. Okay, it's pretty good. I have a lot of negative things to say about the dogma of it and the kind of what we call fortune cookie consulting, people just saying things that aren't connected to any real actionable steps, is just kind of amorphous, like cloud consulting, like, I'm a Yoda business person. It doesn't mean anything, right? So I have a little bit of problem there, but one of the core elements of lean is the MVP, the minimal viable product. It's a product that's the most simple the least set of features that solve a problem. They say to get learnings from the customer. I say that it could be sold satisfactorily. So it's the minimal viable product. A product that can't be sold kind of dies. So it technically is not a product. So MVP, that's great. It makes sense for software. It makes sense for products that are more fungible. They can be split up into features, but like doesn't really work for hardware. You can't make half a thing or a part of a thing. You can't just add features into a future build. You can make something better. You could improve the packaging. You can improve the user experience, but you can't make like half of a car, right? And this is kind of a problem that I see with MVP. We'll get into this is a little bit, is like over and over, I see entrepreneurs get into, they fall victim to this chasm, this like split in the road. They have an idea and they maybe even have customers' interest, but they lack the funding to get there. They say like, hey, building a prototype is going to cost $35,000. I don't have $35,000. Hey, I have a prototype and people want this, but to fund inventory and tooling for production is going to cost $200,000. I don't have $200,000. How do I get this here? How do people do this? So we have a bunch of strategies for that, but we've condensed a lot of these strategies into what we're about to talk about tonight, into traction products. Who's messaging me? Yeah. The Red Blue Collective methodology provides a new pathway. We build customer audiences that value, like, and trust us while we're building revenue. We can create a series of products that scales toward the goal of our flagship product, the flagship product being your vision, right? So we have this big idea, but we need to create stepping stones that get us there. And why this is so critical is something that we always talk about, is that action creates opportunities. As you take action and release these products, you'll see new ways of engaging customers, new ways of partnering, new ways of growing that were impossible to see when you were over here in the idea stage, right? So we need to take action on the market. We need to be satisfying customers. We need to figure out how to do that. So I could just say random things like this, and this is what I feel like Lean does, but it doesn't provide anything that's actionable. So to kind of illustrate this, is a common MVP illustration that you'd see online. It contrasts like a traditional approach of business versus the Lean approach. And it shows the traditional approach is like, they're going to build a car, right? People want a car. So it shows it building a tire, and then building a frame, and all the separate elements of the vehicle. And the customer isn't satisfied until they get the car. They're like, there's a little frown face, frown face, frown face, smile. That's great. The customer finally has transportation in the end, but they're unhappy until they receive a car. The illustration goes on to show the Lean style, where the customer gets like a skateboard, a scooter, a bicycle, a motorcycle, and a car. And they're like, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. That's cool. You know, so the MVP is like, oh, we're making a smaller version of that thing. But this principle is totally erroneous, right? It's erroneous for physical product. Like, I understand it as a metaphor, but it is completely erroneous, because people that want the car, they don't want a skateboard. I mean, in this literal example, if I wanted to build a car company, I 100% would not build a skateboard. Like, it makes zero sense whatsoever. The skateboard might solve transportation, but it's basically a novelty. It's not a solution for everyone to commute to work. And the people that it was a solution to commute to work, they're very specialized and probably are not as interested in your car. Like, they're not the same customer. Like, they're not the same. The way that you would market that product is not the same. The way that you would manufacture that product is not the same. The investors that you would get for one thing versus the other are not the same. Like, it doesn't scale. Those things are not connected in any way. So, like, I understand it's a metaphor, but it's a terrible example. And physical product entrepreneurs that I work with that have been in my incubators, they have a very hard time figuring out what their skateboard idea is. And the reason that they have a hard time with it is because the concept makes zero sense. It makes zero sense. Traction products disrupt the MVP obstacle. Okay. The concept came out of a thought experiment that we had in Red Blue Collective in the incubator. And we would always ask, what can you do tomorrow to solve the customer's problem? If you had one of your core audience, your people that you deeply care about in front of you, what would you do tomorrow to help them with their problem? What could you do next week to build revenue in solving that customer's problem? What could you do? And those questions would inevitably lead to different actions that they could take that are in the same line as the idea, satisfy the same customer, but have nothing to do with building the physical product, the big idea that they had. And by developing those ideas, you can gain that customer's audience, you can build revenue, you can build traction, And that traction is something that is demonstrable in a pitch and to investors. I have these people that have already given me money. They trust me. I've satisfied them. Here's the evidence of it. They're coming along for the journey. So we're going to go through a traction model using progressively larger products. And these steps could look very different for different companies, but each step amplifies the previous work until we have a commanding brand presence with a functional business. We have actual customers, we have actual revenue. And what we've done is we've built a solid foundation that when our product is ready, when we've built our prototype, when we've built our inventory, we can drop that product in and it'll actually sell because we've validated our audience and we have the audience. That's the advantage of having a business, is that you can continue to develop products. It's not about the one thing. It's about being able to do the second thing and the third thing and the fourth thing. So the first traction element that I want to talk about, and this seems so intuitive to people after it works, but if you watch the interview with Dawn, she took action on this and it took almost a year, even though it was working, for her to realize the impact and the power of this. Is that our first step is social. It's really about getting our message out. So people hear social media and they think posting memes on Facebook or, pretty pictures on Instagram or whatever. I have a longer recording that's coming out in 2 weeks for our podcast. That's about the power of social and what it actually gives you. But the objective, so that 25-minute spiel aside, let's do this in 5 minutes. The objective of social media isn't the likes, okay? At first, the objective is not even really to build an audience. The objective is to practice and hone your message through experience, effort, and engagement, right? The problem is that most people, if they say, I am doing this thing, it feels like it's clear here in your brain, but when you try to actually describe it, not very many people are naturally so good at communicating, so articulate that they can take this and turn it right into the written word, into the spoken word, into visual images that convey the message. People just cannot do that. And it's so critical. When your business is successful, you'll have to know how to do those things. You'll have to have somebody on your team who's an expert at it. You'll have to functionally know how that works. But right now, before there's all this investment money on the line or all your savings on the line or whatever, before the stakes are super high, you could start doing that today. You could start doing it today. We talk to people like human beings and we find out what their problems are. We learn in their own words the story, the emotion of those problems. We have to put out value, refine our message, and build trust. I have yet to come across a business where this is irrelevant, where connecting with other people doesn't matter. In very expensive B2B products, social media in the context and vein of that builds authority and it builds trust and it builds engagement. For commercial products, it builds interest. It builds trust and communication. For influencer-driven brands, it's like every single type of business requires messaging. If you have a B2B brand and you only sell and you close over the phone or in person, this still gives you an excellent way to refine your message, right? But it's going to feed into these other steps. Social media gives us a zero cost entry to engagement. So your personal opinions on social media are irrelevant. These platforms are where people predominantly get their information. YouTube is the #2 search engine in the world. If your product could ever have a tutorial or a how-to or a let me show you this or anything, it can live on YouTube, right? If it's very, very niche, those views could be very valuable, but resharing that on LinkedIn could get you a customer. You know, you have to figure this out. You have to understand it a little bit. But look, that's just the smallest little kernel. Right now, we have an idea and we're like baby business, right? We're trying to go from the smallest step to our foundational item, right? Remember that even if you were to meet an investor, a really interested person, anyone really, the first thing they're going to do is search for you and see, where does this person live online? Go search for me. Go see where I live online. My content's everywhere. I exist. You can look and you can find articles written about me from 10 years ago. It's on product development. You'd be like, I guess that is what this guy does. Our second step, our little step, is information. So a little bit like Red Blue Collective Innovate, look, if we really care about our tribe of people and making people's lives better, we're agnostic to the solution. I know that you want to sell that big foundational product, right? That big flagship product that you're going to prop up your brand on. But I'm telling you that it's not a field of dreams situation. It's a field of daydreams. It's not really how things work, especially now. The initial idea is inspiration, and our products are a bridge, right? To connect our customers from where they are to where they want to go, their emotional state, their financial state, their wealth, health, happiness, whatever they're trying to do from here to here. Our product is a bridge. So a lot of times the clients that I work with, the people that we work with, they're very knowledgeable. They're very knowledgeable, or through our process of engaging customers, either in social or customer interviews, they become very knowledgeable. They have great data. And it's funny, is I tell them like, hey, you've built so much information about these customers and this problem that you understand, like, you could write a white paper. You could make a small information product. You could write a playbook, right? You could go to these next steps, but we can provide information, written or video, and we can provide a transformational experience, right? If you have an exercise product that you want to build, you could start doing at-home training, right? If you wanted to make an industrial product, you need to think, okay, well, what am I actually providing this person? And what have I learned? And what can I provide them that make them build trust? Get an email address out of them, get some type of monetary transaction going. The information provides a solution without the need for your physical product. This is the thing. Developing the skill of creating information, it's going to enhance every other aspect of your business, right? So we worked on communication and we worked on knowledge, and now we're applying it into information. But this ability to get this information down, it's going to enhance, as we move forward, all kinds of things, creating internal processes, training materials for partners, creating clear, effective information products will allow us to make even better marketing copy, right? It's just going to plug in to so many places. And like I said, I mean, I deal with a lot of technical people, technical founders. They're not the best at communicating. I'm not the best writer or communicator. And this is the steps that I've taken to try to get better at this. But so we've engaged people, we've built information, and don't let this go aside, is that the information business alone is a multi-billion-dollar industry, right? And we can tap into that. But at the next stage, I see a lot of opportunity in taking this information and then using this as a value ladder to get into consulting with people. So we're talking to Dawn, and she's making a hair tool. You see, like, how is this relevant to a hair tool? Well, her social media game is off the charts, but she can make downloads and deliverables for information. She can make mailing lists that people subscribe to. She can do consulting through what to buy for her business partners. Let's get into that a little bit, but there's literally opportunity after opportunity, and she's using these strategies to build that business before the product is in the hands of her customers. So consulting, it's creating physical products, at least great physical products, requires an enormous amount of research, right? Like I was saying, research goes into the customer, goes into the market, goes into existing solutions, all the little aspects of the business. The experience and data are extremely valuable, right? I mean, I'm thinking about VineTech. I'm thinking about Ben. You get so much data that's on vineyards, you become the Virginia vineyard data specialist. It's valuable to so many other people. And you say, here's my little information packet on how you do this. If you want me to help you implement it, here's the consulting for it. If information provides the what to do, consulting services show how to do it in context, if that makes sense. The customer for consulting business, this is the coolest thing, is the customer for consulting services is often another business, and those businesses are perfectly suited to be future partners. So for somebody like Dawn, if she does consulting on what products to pick, those might be salons that would be where they would sell her product in the future, or where she could do events. They become partners and part of her distribution, her amplification team. So you can see where we're starting to get traction. The next step that we're seeing is I'm seeing this happen in a number of ways. I'm seeing it happen through mailing lists. I'm seeing it happen through the curation of information. And I'm seeing it happen through things like this webinar, where we provide access to information to experts, to answer people's questions. Community is a very powerful thing, and since we're all stuck at home, a lot of people are launching their own, behind the paywall community services, or websites that where all of their videos live, and they might be $9 a month, $19 a month, $300 a month. I don't know what people are doing, but there's a lot of different flavors, a way you can take the audience that you've built, form it into a community where people can help each other. And that can, it could be free, it could be paid. There's a lot of credence to talk about selling access versus just selling information. I give away a ton of information for free because I really think, it's just information, right, guys? I mean, access and time is really the big lever. But what I think is really cool in these traction products, and what I'm seeing is that people have been building, they've been building kind of that thought leadership through these actions. They've really been helping people, and they develop real fans who are they're ready to be all in, right? They're ready to go. And we've seen the big next step, and this might be before the community piece, it might be after the community piece, but I think that people want to do something, they want to engage. So maybe not right now, but continually, events-based marketing is massive. people that run events, they're always looking for speakers that can bring in audience. They're always looking for partners that can bring in audience. Um, People who are in the industry are looking for people to organize events. So it's super powerful. It's time tested. It's an amazing business marketing strategy. I mean, you can get like a year's worth of marketing done, uh, business development done in a weekend. But you know me, I'm not like a big fan of attending networking events. I like organizing or speaking at events, but I'm not big on just going there and eating a slice of pizza and going home. But uh, had really good results. I always have great conversations with people if I participate in something like that. But events pull in all these other traction products into a powerful ecosystem that potentially you own, right? You're using your social for amplification. You're using your information to make the presentations, to make the materials, to make the run up. You're using your consulting for breakout sessions or asking people what they actually need or providing those expert panels. You're bringing your community into a physical location. Your community might be spread all around the world, and it's going into that one place for that one, week, weekend, or afternoon. It's super powerful. Um, Events make you the authority, right? There's a really old like Gary Vee quote where he's talking about that's like a high school party. Like you throw the high school party, you're the cool kid then. But look at successful brands in the space, almost without any exception. I couldn't find an example. I really tried, but with without exception, brands participate in or organize these events. Even really large businesses, like I'll pick on aerospace guys. Lockheed, they do tons of this. You can pick anybody. Even large businesses, events become like their beacon. It's like their tentpole event, and all their marketing goes towards these main big event pillars, right? If you don't have the team or energy to organize an event, that's definitely a gut check because it's a lot of fucking work, right? It's a lot of work. Um, Connect with other industry events. Create satellite events inside or adjacent to larger trade shows. Think of all the smaller shows that contribute to like South by Southwest, mess up Austin for the whole week. Startup Week, which is all around the country, or big cool shows like SEMA or IMTS. Like they have all these like satellite events and shows. Like you could just be like, hey, I'm gonna bring in a speaker and I'm gonna rent a hotel room and put a shit out to your community and do a dinner. It just doesn't matter at what size you're doing it, because this, again, like I'm saying, each of these steps, you think like, hey, Callie, I don't have the energy for this, or I don't have the, team for it. Eventually you're going to do something that looks like this anyways. Right. So both of my businesses do events, right? And the reason it is because you can get so much done in such a short period of time. We do all these other things. So you're kind of trying on these strategies and say, yeah, I can see how this would be better once we can build out a team like this, but we're going to do it at this size for right now. Because remember, it's traction. It's not perfect. We're taking massive imperfect action. But here's something cool that's more physical product focused. And this is where kind of these ideas started for me. And I'm having a lot of fun with this, is that I deal with a lot of products that are like, let's say, partially novel, right? And where these ideas came from is that when we were doing prototyping, so getting out of the business development mindset and getting into the prototyping, I'd literally tell them like, let's go buy these products off of Amazon, or better yet, off of Alibaba, AliExpress, and let's take them apart and let's see how that they're actually built. Shortcut a lot of prototyping time away because somebody has already invented this thing. and your product is 10% or 20% novel, or it's more novel because there's a different element to it. I don't know. There's a lot of different examples for this, but at the end of the day, if there's good products that already exist and you have these customers, why are you not connecting these customers with the good things that already exist in the market? And the reason that you're not is because you have an ego that's attached to your idea. And that ego is preventing you from making money and making revenue. So we can look at it a couple different ways, but you could call it affiliate marketing, you could call it drop shipping, you could call it something like that. But a lot of brands, and I'm not saying just brands that are on Alibaba, but things that are sold in retail, especially small independent brands, they're always looking for a great thing to sell. And if you use a product and you know that your customers would love that product, there's no harm in DMing, emailing that brand and saying, hey, I really love your beard oil. It's the best. I have a bunch of my customers that I think that they would really like it. And you know that you're coming out with a comb later, a beard comb. You could start doing, there's always adjacent products that satisfy needs that your customers have. So if it really becomes about satisfying your customers versus about satisfying your idea, you can start engaging those customers. There's a lot of good things that happen with that, is that if you have a customer list, if you're engaging with them and you're selling them product, you're talking about a product, doing a review, you're at least able to keep that list warm, keep them interested. But hopefully this can elevate your level as a thought leader. And people, the pushback on this is that, hey, now I'm going to be like pimping out garbage products. I'm like, definitely didn't say that. Like, I want to make the most high quality, something worth sharing, incredible thing possible. And then no part of that strategy means being an affiliate market for junk, right? Or drop shipping trash from AliExpress. If there's something fantastic on AliExpress that I know that my customers would like, there's nothing preventing me from selling that, but definitely don't sell junk. I mean, you'll ruin your brand. But look, what we're trying to do is we're trying to engage and grow a customer audience by we're trying to engage them to build trust, that like factor, the authority factor. And we don't have to do it with our one big idea, right? This is another key issue of this, is that when we start to sell these other items, like, you don't have to pay engineering, you don't have to pay for inventory, you don't have to do a lot of the challenges that monetarily that you'd have. But look, an obstacle that starting entrepreneurs do not have the visibility to foresee is the difficulty in the sales process. I can't even tell you how many times that people have spent a lot of money developing a product or a prototype. And then they come to me and they say, I need help because I don't know how to sell this. I'm saying, do you understand that a business and product development are not the same thing? Creating a business is creating an engine that sells products. You just created a product. You don't have the vehicle, right? So simple things like creating ad campaigns, dealing with customer support, like just general e-commerce issues, how to set up a website, how to connect these things together, all of those little bits you can learn right away by just stealing this playbook from these teenage internet gurus, right? But like, look, I'm seeing people hone in how they know how their Facebook ads would run, how their messaging works. They're connecting all those previous traction pieces, and I'm saying, why not try this, just so you have a way of revenue positive understanding how e-commerce sales works, so you can go to that show and have something to sell. so you can have something in your videos, right? There's a lot to this, and it really sets you up for future things. So the shift here, the traction shift, is that people are thinking about, oh, I have to have an idea, then I have to have a prototype, and I'm going to sell it. I'm thinking about I'm creating an engine that I can just drop a good product in, and then it goes to market. So I need to create all of those skills. I need to create a team. I need to create the experience so that when I do have that product, all the other elements are taken care of. So the interesting thing is, like I was saying, a lot of times I'll go right on Alibaba, AliExpress, and I'll see pretty much what somebody's trying to make, but it's not quite there. All right, it's maybe the quality is there. Most mass manufactured things, you can find very high quality stuff that's already manufactured, right? I mean, like half of the stuff on Amazon is white label, right? They take an item and then they rebrand it. And this is really an interesting thing. So the immediate pushback from early entrepreneurs is that white labeling is like cheating. It's like cheating because you're taking something else, putting your brand on it, and pushing it out. Now you can do a lot of customization with white labeling, but first of all, I want you to understand something, that Home Depot, Amazon, Walmart, Costco, all of those companies, all of those massive retailers that people respect, like, and buy from, they white label stuff. Amazon white labels so much that they have competing brands on their market that hit very specific customer segments that white label products that they have made in China. So they are able to white label things, and then if it works, they're able to find their own production lines. So they use this as a scaling method to get products very rapidly onto the Amazon platform. They actually squeeze out entrepreneurs off of the platform by white labeling things and selling them direct. So when you search on Alibaba and you find something that is very similar to what you were trying to do, instead of feeling defeated, you should realize an immediate opportunity. If you're in tune with the customers and they've never heard of the product, their solutions, when you did your interviews, they've never heard of this product. It's never solved their problem because maybe it's marketed really poorly, right? Unless that product has massive intellectual property issues, like it's infringing on a US patent, you could buy it, test it, and maybe even sell it. I mean, if it's really great, you could. But if it was really great, I'd look at white labeling it and branding it. Like I said, organizations of all sizes do this. This is an easy way to enter a market, get sales. Everybody's trying to spend time and money, and they're trying to create something that already exists, right? This is like a massive shortcut into having product and having it at infinite scale. Like, the cost of tooling is very, very high. The minimum order quantity for very custom products is also very high. But like, if you were to white label something, maybe the plastic is different, maybe the mold is slightly different, maybe there's different stickers on it, there's a slightly different shape. The NPI, the new product introduction costs, are very low, and the minimum order quantities will also be low. So maybe instead of having to order 10,000 of something, you could order 1,000 or 100 of something and have it customized just for you. So what you have to understand is, like, the most difficult part of a business is not product. This is where people screw this up. Like, you can just pay a product development company, you can pay me, we can make pretty much anything. You can just draw it on a napkin and we can get it made in any volume that you want. We live in a post-impossible world. That's not really the problem. The difficult part of business is the business itself: marketing, sales, accounting, hiring, training, all of those things that require management and vision. White labeling allows you to start running a business and putting those systems in place, putting those teams in place, even if it's a small amount. Start like affording better marketing, like affording a space, or not doing that and running a fairly passive business that you're not fooling around with that much. So look, there's a lot of different steps that you can take from that idea to your big foundational flagship product, right? And the idea of traction products is that we're going to reverse engineer your personal goal, your business goal, your product goal, and reverse engineer the steps to say, these are the things that are going to be required of you to make that successful, right? These are the marketing elements that people use. These are the manufacturing or the team elements or the structural elements. We need to figure out a plan of getting these things in place. And we also need to figure out the money piece. So let's reverse engineer that into different steps, into different products that are going to get us from where you are to where you go. Because just like your product is a transformation from your current state to a future state, my product, me as a coach, right? Me as a consultant, my product is a transformation from where you are to where you want to go. So here's the little conclusion, and I'm going to open it up for Q&A. So, first of all, thanks for listening to that like tirade about this, but MVPs get one thing right. We need to build something that delights our customers, that we get feedback from. You need to build something that's worth sharing though. Okay. The MVP process, I think, is completely wrong for physical products, especially for entrepreneurs. We can start solving problems and creating revenue with lateral thinking. We can grow using traction products instead of MVP. So appreciate you guys. That's it for this second. What's up, Jade? Thanks for joining. What's up, Joseph? We had a lot of people registered, so I got to see what the deal is. Sorry, I got a text here. This is crazy. So like, Joseph, did you try the chat bot? That's what I'm messing with right now. White labeling is really interesting. Oh, Jade, this information, like I knocked out like this talk with Dawn in like just talking to my phone for like 20 minutes, and then we had a follow-up strategy call about this. It's pretty exciting, but I started to get into this and I'm like, I don't know, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. This is like it's wildly different than what other people are advocating for. I think people are going to hate it. They're going to hate it so much. But like the idea of creating structured deals and becoming like a mini distributor with your audience and like repping really high quality brands, and then moving on to a white labeling strategy, because white labeling will require some inventory purchase. So like I could see how you would want to structure brand partnerships first and just sell through your brand. But like, oh my God, the white labeling thing, I mean, you go on there, the potential for what you can buy and then get, and that's awesome. Like absolutely amazing products will blow people's mind and totally change it, customize it, change its size, change its color, change its whatever. I'm struggling to think of a business that I've worked with, that we've worked with, where you couldn't use this strategy to start making money like in a month. So everybody's like flapping around, and it's kind of like you're either one of the innovation challenge businesses where a big corporation is ready to throw some money at you because your thing's so out there, or you're a business where I'm like, traction products, let's sell some stuff, white label, turn this into a sales feedback engine, use that money to build a product that's so unbelievable because we know exactly what our customers want. We have the money to make an amazing product instead of like an okay product. The white labeling is crazy interesting. Crazy interesting. I'm super pumped about it. But I feel like if I just threw out like white labeling as the idea, you still have the same kind of chasm, right? Using cheating in business means you're too slow to pick up on what works. But I mean, yeah, but you know who I'm talking about, right? Where people where I'm like, why don't you just do this? And they're like, oh, but that would be like, it's like talking to people about having me manufacture their product. I'm like, it costs less, takes less time, and you can do it infinitely. And they're like, yeah, but I want to actually do it. I want to put the love into it. I'm like, I mean, that's cool, but I mean, unless you're doing something super secret, like, and super specialized, like you don't have to get me to do it. You should just stop. Yeah. You should stop doing that immediately. You gotta have a business to run. Like, you gotta run the business. You can't be like the craftsman, the manager, and the entrepreneur. If somebody can find me the rule book, oh yeah, like the you're gonna cheat in business by selling amazing products that your customers really like and making money. So when they say cheating, they mean cheating from this like egotistical inventor frame of mind, where I'm thinking from like the um, like I don't know. I'm thinking from like, hey, I've got these customers. They have this problem. Like, I actually give a shit, and I need to make money. So like, if it checks those two boxes for me, makes me money, makes my customers happy, solves their problem, I'm like, that's what my business does. That's it. I'm trying to be less smart, right? I'm trying to just reduce things down to being as dumb as possible. Like, that's the book. Is like, it's not illegal. Do it as much as you possibly can until somebody says you're not allowed to do it anymore, right? Uh, find something that people need and like fulfill that need. It's like, make sure that you can make money on the things that you're doing, figure out how to make more money. It's like really dumb, dumb rules. So, but yeah, the biggest pushback that I get is that that's not what I'm trying to do, or this is my idea, or I am getting the, that's just cheating. We should write a book. I'm telling you, the Innovate course material, I have to like cut it back because right now it is gotten to, it is single space 45 pages, no pictures. It is really long. We should write our own business rule book. It's like rule book for domination and for dummies. Domination for dummies. Yeah, I'll have to show you the latest Innovate actual course materials because I keep filming videos for it, and as I film the videos, I'm like, wow, that's way better than what I wrote. So let me use rev.com, translate that, paste that piece in so it matches the video. I'm like, oh shit, that one paragraph that I wrote is now 1,000 words. No, my business book, the business book that I'm coming out with is How to Eat Water. How to Eat Water. Searching for opportunity using lateral thinking. Domination for dummies would be pretty awesome, though. Yeah. What I really need is people. I need a chat box for dummies right now. The chatbot is awesome, but like one of my favorite quotes: "If you try to sell a glass of water to a guy who's drowning, you're an asshole." That's right. So for you rewatch people, that's a quote. So next week, Jade, next week we got to pump it up really big. So the webinar next week, I'm actually doing the Ideas to Reality presentation. So the first presentation that I did at Mason, that's next week. Ideas to Reality. That is the Red Blue Collective top line. That's our cornerstone presentation that gives the 20,000 foot view of the entire Red Blue Collective framework, the conceptual pieces to it, like our philosophical cornerstones. Yeah, I posted it the other day because it's been like it's like 3 years ago. It was just the other day. But yeah, sorry, there's like a lot going on in the background. Wild. So yeah, next week, and that is May 7th. So May 7th also kicks off the actual opening, the final week, the final push of Red Blue Collective Innovate. So apologize to everybody that's getting a trillion messages. There will be a trillion more. We're going to pump this thing up and get people in there. Innovate will be epic. It is going to completely crush any other incubator program. I haven't put the word incubator in the title, in the messaging, because I think the startup world is on drugs. But if anything, it's a self incubator, because you're going to be deprogrammed and reprogrammed to build a business instead of building a debt arbitrage machine. But yeah, like I was saying, next week is Ideas to Innovate. So that's my big framework presentation. Got slides and everything, like a fancy person. And that will kind of kick off, because you'll see what piece Innovate actually takes from that framework, and how my content has just grown and refined, but the concept hasn't changed in 3 years. Because previous to that 3 years, I spent 10 years developing products and working with entrepreneurs. So the framework will always pretty much stand. But what we handle in Innovate is like taking the entire thing, picking that initial sliver and blowing it up into 4 weeks of content. And I guarantee that my 4 weeks of content is more than you'll get in the other programs' 4 months of content, but without the crap. You say it's more like a swim class. That's another great metaphor. How many classes on swimming do you need to take before you're an Olympic swimmer? None. You have to start swimming. You can take a swimming class, but you got to get in the water, right? So that metaphor is a key metaphor. She said, would you call it more like a swim class? I kind of would, because a good swim class, you're going to jump in the water. And with Red Blue Collective Innovate, you're going to actually jump in the water, because I'm going to give you actionable information that you need to implement. That means you're going to go really talk to people. You're going to actually go within a short period of time, develop sales. You can't have theory. Whereas these other programs, they just give you theory, right? I'll credit Jade with this. So what she came up with, fortune cookie consulting. It's fortune cookie. You know, you crack open the fortune cookie and it's like oh, lean consultant says waste is not wasteful when it's learning. And you're like, what the hell does that mean? Like, just tell me what to do, man. And I mean, our people have been successful because I'm like, here's 3 things to do. I'll talk to you next week. Here's how you doing. Um, I am not the world's best at this. Here's like 2 YouTube channels and 1 YouTube video from each of those channels that explain it perfectly. But that's what you do. And then they do it, and we come back and say, that looks pretty good. Okay, and let's put that in the pitch and move on with our lives. And as we actually start doing things, we get better at it. But the other programs turn everything into a theory, into like a mystical game. And you never really get anywhere, but you feel like you're working really hard. I think that your brain is like background processing, like a lot of fuzzy, foggy ideas. And you're just like, you feel confused. So you feel like you're working, but you're not actually getting anything done. So I don't know. I just have a more simple approach. It's like, go talk to 10 people. Okay, bring that information back. Okay, you didn't talk to the 10 people that you said you were going to talk to. Why didn't you do that? Because you can't access them. Okay, well, they're probably not a good customer if you don't know how to talk to them. Let's look at another group of customers. Okay, you know how to talk to all these people? Okay, go talk to 10. Yep. Jade says, I did cold calls this week. It sucked. It does suck. And there's the thing, is that a lot of these things suck, and that's why people never do them. And they're like, I can't wait to be successful so I won't have to make sales calls anymore. And I'm like, no, brother, no, that's not how that works. You're just going to get better at it. That problem's never going to go away. Or they say, I want to start my own business so I don't have to deal with a boss. And I'm like, no, brother, that's not how that works. You're just, skin's going to be 6 feet thick, but everybody's your boss. That's just not how that works. So by doing stuff, we build our own strength, our own resilience. We build experience to get better at it. It's like the stress level thing. Explaining this to somebody today is that, stress is relative, right? A level of effort is relative. Like our brains and our bodies are adaptation machines, right? So we adapt to stress, we adapt to riches, we adapt to struggles. So it's like this, is like, you think, if I have to make 10 phone calls today, my world is going to end. This is the most stressful thing that I can possibly ever handle. And then you do it every day, and then you don't think anything of it. But the action didn't change. You probably got better at it. But what happens is, like, your level of action grows. This is what's so wild about it, is that your ability to like absorb stress and it bother you, and absorb, like, if people are posting nasty comments on my ads and in my DMs, and it's like, maybe 4 years ago that would have bothered me a little bit, but I'm like, what am I going to do? That person's life probably sucks. Like, there's no point in getting upset about that. But haters equals validation. I mean, somebody was like, F off. And I'm like, dude, you just saw my ad. I'm like giving away a free resource guide, and like, asking people if they have any questions, that they can, here's my email address and you can DM me, message me on Facebook, and I'll like hop on a call with you. I don't know what's so bad about that. Oh man. I've gotten a lot of negative DMs where people are like, just another avenue for my idea to be stolen. And I'm like, okay, well, if you'd like, here's this recording that I did with, my friends that are patent attorneys. And if you'd like any more information about how to protect your intellectual property, here's like presentations that I've done, or, resources. But like, I assure you that that's not what's going on here. But it doesn't really matter. It's like, they're already in that negative kind of like loser space. It's really hard to take somebody from that like the world is against me space and flip it inside out to the world is filled with opportunities. So like I'm really only trying to deal with the people where they're on the same wavelength as me. It's like, yeah. I mean, like I'm running Innovate, right? It's not therapy. I'm looking for people who are the opposite, who are looking around and saying, "Hey, the world's full of opportunities. I agree with Callie. I'm on the same wavelength. I'm ready. I'm ready to do something really awesome. Like I want to do it, but I need some help filling in a couple of these strategic gaps, or understanding the model of going from where I am to where I want to go, or how do I do X, Y, Z? Not like everyone hates me and I suck." I'm like, okay, that might be true, but like this isn't the program for you. I mean, program for you is not about innovation and entrepreneurship. So at least mine isn't. I don't know. Learning mindset, 100%. Yeah, learning about chatbots. It's kind of cool. Um, I gotta flesh this out. I wanna see if we know anybody in the community that knows a ton about chatbots. But like I'm going crazy about it because like you can message on Red Blue Collective, and then it asks you if you want to subscribe. But I want to set it up so that there's a way it's like, hey, if you're interested, like, what's your obstacle? And you click on that, and then it's like, hey, here's a download. Skylar made one from scratch. Yeah, they're awesome, but like you can make them really, really complicated. I made a really simple one, but I wanted to have like links to like videos and links to free downloads. So it's just like, hey, you want to know more about how to create a defensible brand? Like, I'm not a lawyer, but like, let me give you some awesome strategies about what I think, and go talk to a lawyer. Like, hey, you want to know 6 prototyping hacks because you're having a problem with prototyping? Let me tell you how to do that. Yeah, it's cool. There's a lot of neat things that you can do. One of the things that I wanted to be able to do is when people sign up for this webinar, then to be able to remind them like an hour before, half an hour before, like, hey, remember, you got this webinar, here's the link for it, which apparently you can do, but pretty cool. If Skylar wants to become the official Red Blue Collective chatbot programmer, we got to limit the number of unicorns or tinfoil hats that are in there, but I am hiring. Serious. She wants a lot. She's gonna get paid in glitter. Is that what it is? This is fun. Well, anyways, that sounds awesome. I would definitely invest in a. What's she's 10 now or 11? I definitely invest in a tween-driven product development bot for my Red Blue Collective Facebook. That sounds like a business win. Case closed. 10. But thank you for watching. It's a lot of fun. You can see this traction product idea. I'm really excited about it, but it's new. It's a new idea for me, and mapping it out and illustrating it and trying to get people from the mental space of where they are, convince them that they're about running a business, not about making some crazy idea. They're about building a crazy business. This is I'm refining it. I'm refining the message. So I appreciate everybody that's watching. I appreciate Joseph, Jade. Thank you so much for joining in the chat. But appreciate you. Yeah, it's just going to get better and better. If you want to watch something that is honed in, locked in, subscribe for next week's because I can tell you that ideas to reality, I've probably given that 24 times. I've given it at Mason, other universities in the area, communities, corporations, yeah, trade events like industry events, that kind of thing. I've given that information out a bunch of times, uh, even at an art gallery. So it's interesting. Everybody wants to learn how to take an idea and to sell it, even if they hate sales. But please register for next week. It's going to be awesome. May 7th, Ideas to Reality. I'm pumped up about that. Let's see what the internet thinks. But appreciate your time. Talk to you later.